Flex Reads. So in honor of Women's History Month, I wanted to share and talk about my top 10 Black women authors. These are go-tos. These are automatic buys. These women writers, in my opinion, are like top tier. They are my favorite. I have read multiple of their books and they just get me where I need to be. So again, I wanted to share my top 10 Black women authors. So before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So the first author that I'm going to talk about, she has become one of my favorites. I was introduced to her about maybe 2 to 3 years ago, and ever since then she has been on my like TBR list every year, and oh, I just love this author. So, and the author is Diane McKinney-Whetstone. Now, I have read 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 4 of her books, and every one I thoroughly enjoy. Diane McKinney-Whetstone is still alive. She's still writing. One thing I love about Diane McKinney-Whetstone's writing, you guys, it is different stories, different settings, and you're going to be entertained. Your mouth is going to drop. You are going to want to know what's going to happen. It just does not make sense to me that her name is just not splashed out, you know what I mean, like these other authors that can't write worth a lick, but they get all the praise and recognition. She needs to be in that category. I would say out of the books that I have read of hers, oh, I think Tumbling probably is my favorite. This is her debut. This one, Lord, the stuff that happened on in this book. Also, all of her books are set in Philadelphia. She is from Philadelphia. I got this from a library sale. You can see it's all beaded up and tattered and discolored. This year, I'm going to read Lazzarato, and I am so excited about this. And I love the cover. Next is Donna Hill. She's another one that I am obsessed with, that I became aware of just like with Diane about 2 to 3 years ago. And I started off with this book called Rhythms. I have a book review on that. I have a book review on this. I'll link it down below. This gives me The Vanishing Half. And this book came out before The Vanishing Half, but there is a little twist to it. And there's also a sequel to this book. Y'all, so good. She's going to keep you on your toes. It's a well-rounded story, entertaining. She just knows how to write. This is her latest book that came out. It was published in 2023. First of all, the cover is so pretty. And you have a young woman. She's estranged from her father. They live in Sag Harbor, and she's an artist. She gets a phone call that her dad is really, really sick, and you might need to, come out there. And, she goes home and she just discovers a lot of secrets and things that she didn't know about. And she's learning about her father and, everything that went on in his life. And it's a really good story. Next, Nella Larsen, one of the incredible authors from the Harlem Renaissance. Y'all, Nella was just a goat. And I always, when I see Nella and when I read her, I'm always just so, it's like bittersweet. Because her writing is unbelievable. And because of racism, she stopped writing after her 2 books. She has 2 full-length novels and she has about 4 short stories. And she was accused of plagiarism, which she didn't do. They threw out the case. They realized she didn't do. And she was done with it. And after passing, she stopped writing. She went back to her first occupation, which was nursing. And that was it. I would say one thing, I am glad that now people know her name. And because of the movie that came out a couple years ago and re-editions, and also too, if you guys noticed, back in 2020, there was a resurgence of the topic of passing. And it really did start with The Vanishing Half. Y'all remember when that book came out, everybody and their mama was talking about that book. They had it all over Instagram and everything. And if y'all read that book, it does talk about, that. And it looks like after that, that subject just kept on going. Then after that, the movie, came out. We know in the Harlem Renaissance, that's one topic that they discuss heavily, okay? I would say, out of the Harlem Renaissance collection, I do think that the book Passing is the best example and theme and pros and cons when it does come to passing. I think, in my opinion, I think hers is the best. You get in the nitty gritty of passing and why and the complexities of it. And yeah, she just was a fantastic author. I have multiple of her books. And it's like every time when I see there is a like re-edition that I really like, I will get it. So for example, there was a re-edition of Quicksand. This is her first book, because like the one I have is real whack, but this one, it came out last year. It is the signature edition. I love the cover. It's like a butter cover. And it was not expensive. This was only $10. You know, that's cheap for a book. This has the same kind of theme of passing, but it's a little bit different. You have a woman, Helga Crane. She's an orphan. She's bogged down with children, and she thought her life was gonna go a different way, and it didn't. And y'all, it's a whole situation, but it is so good. Next, my girl, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I always am going to include Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie as one of my favorite authors of all times. She is just beyond amazing to me. I've read all her books, own all her books. I recently read her new book that came out, Dream Count. Did a reading blog on it, and I thoroughly enjoyed that book. I just love her writings. I would say these are my two favorite of hers. This is her debut novel, Purple Hibiscus. It does not read like a debut novel. It will have you kind of angry at the daddy, because the daddy do stuff that he ain't got no business doing. Oh, but there's also a twist that I was not ready when I read this book. Please read it. Secondly is Americana. I think every time when people mention Chimamanda, they're going to either mention Americana or they're going to mention Half of the Yellow Sun. This one is probably my favorite. I love this novel because it just talks about race and immigration in such a different light. It talks about taboo topics. I am really thinking about reading this again, especially now in my 30s, because when I read this, I was in my 20s, and I got a whole different perspective now that I'm in these 30s. Next, J. California Cooper. Y'all know how much I love J. California Cooper. This woman, y'all, her writing, I just love the wittiness. I love the I told you so. I love the revenge stories. I love the language. She's just like a good meal, okay? And you're gonna laugh, you're gonna think, you're gonna be talking to the book. Her writings, unbelievable. If you kind of like the folk tale type of storytelling, you gonna like J. California Cooper. And her short stories, if you are trying to get into short stories and if you don't know how to navigate them, I would say pick up a J. California Cooper, because I was like that. I couldn't stand short stories at all. And once I started reading hers, it just like really flexed that muscle. And now it's like I can read other short stories, other short story collection. But I do believe that when I started out with her, I was able to, first of all, appreciate and understand short stories. And then with hers, it's just like, girl, like the stuff that she be writing about the characters, like, where do you even come up with that? Her stuff, love it. Next is Maya Angelou. Always include Maya because I was never a reader growing up. And the first time I read a book on my own, I was in the 8th grade. Was not a reader, okay? And I picked up I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings because my best friend was reading it. And some of the stuff she was telling me about, I was like, ooh, that sounds intriguing. I want to read it. And y'all, it was such a good book. Just got hooked on her works, and I've read all of her autobiographies. And I would say, this one, I was going to say I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings is my favorite because that was the first time, like I said, I read a book on my own. But The Heart of a Woman is probably my favorite. Next is Jessie Redmon Fauset, another author from the Harlem Renaissance. I'm obsessed with Jessie Redmon Fauset. I'm also obsessed with this book, Plum Bun. Y'all can see I have 3 of the same books of hers. Okay, this is the first one that I have. Bought it, and it was a used copy. So someone else had their notes in it and everything like that, right? And when I read it, I loved it so much. And also, I really do love this edition. This is my favorite edition. I started out with this one. Then I went to a library sale and I saw this one. I don't like the font at all. Like, this is miserable. But it's Jessie Redmon Fauset and it's Plum Bun. So I was like, you know what? I'll have it, for a little collector's item. Recently, with Harlem Rhapsody, I wanted to get another edition of Plum Bum, and the one that I like again, which is this one. So I have a brand new copy. So when I read this again, because I will be reading this again, I will have this one to annotate. You know what? I think I probably should do a reading vlog on this. You guys let me know if you want me to do a reading vlog on this, because this one, y'all, so good. It'll be a really good excuse for me to read this again. Next, Sadeqa Johnson. Yes, Yellow Wife, one of my favorites. Sadeqa Johnson, she was a contemporary, author, transitioned into historical fiction, and this was her debut for that genre. And y'all, oh my gosh, this, another one of Just Like Plum Bun, y'all. I have a problem. I literally do. Started off with this one. My sister bought it for me, and then I got another copy, and I actually got this one from a used bookstore, and it was like brand new. And this copy, this is like my nice pretty one. But then I wanted to get a paperback edition, and so that's what I did. This book is so good to me where after I read it, I will, when I put it down, I've read this book 3 times. When I put it down and when it's done, I literally go back and start it over again. Or I'll read some of the passages that I highlighted and liked. This book, y'all, oh my gosh, I don't know what she did in this. And the crazy thing is, this is about slavery. It's brutality. And we know that that can just be so hard to read and digest. And this book, you do got to get your mind right. You have to get your mind right. Because the way that jailer, ooh, Reuben, he just do stuff that's like, why? How? But I don't know why I can just digest this. And again, it's heavy. But y'all, yeah. She is an automatic buy. I also have 2 copies of The House of Eve. Really enjoyed it. Y'all know how I feel about The Yellow Wife. I could talk about this over and over again, but yeah. Next, Bernice McFadden. Bernice McFadden. That's all you have to say is Bernice McFadden. She's another one where I always have to give credit to, because when I first got back into literature, I picked her up. And I actually picked up the Book of Harlan. Yes. Was it the Book of... It was the Book of Harlan. I don't cry with books normally. And I can kind of count on my hands how many books I have like cried to. This one... And I remember I listened to it. Y'all, I was in the car going home. I can literally see it now. I was going home, coming from work. And I said, let me put this on. Y'all, I was up there crying while I was driving. I know people are probably looking at me like, what in the world's wrong with this girl? Y'all, this book. And then Sugar, this is what she's known for. This is her debut. Does not read like a debut. I also have several copies of this. I really like this edition because it was a 20th anniversary. That was back in 2020. And it has a really beautiful foreword by Kimberly Elise. She is an actress. And yeah, this. And she just came out with a memoir, Firstborn Girls, and I cannot wait to read this. First of all, the cover is bomb. And I'm so excited to learn about her life and just how she ended up getting into the writing game. Yeah, she just gets me where I need to be. And then lastly, Terry McMillan. We all know Terry McMillan. We all know Waiting to Exhale. We love the movie. We love the soundtrack. And the book, just as good as the movie. And I have to say, Forrest Whitaker, he directed that movie. He did such a fantastic job because you almost, I'm gonna be honest, if you watch the movie, it's like you really don't need to read the book. Only thing that I would say they don't explore in the movie is Robin's parents. You do meet her parents. And what else? I think, oh, and then you learn a little bit more about Gloria's backstory about her and Tariq's dad. But that's not like a big deal. It's not like taken away from the story. Yeah. Those are like the main 2, I would say. Yeah. And also, Savannah got, y'all know the situation with her and Keith. or not Kenneth or whatever. Yeah, Kenneth, right? She had like another little situation that went on. Wait. No, I'm confusing that with the sequel. Never mind. No. Yeah, no. Scratch that. Getting to Happy. Y'all don't need to read that. I also did a reading vlog on Waiting to Excel and Getting to Happy. And both of those, I think they're spoilers. So if you haven't read it, just be aware of Waiting to Excel and of especially Getting to Happy. She did not need to do a sequel to Waiting to Excel. First of all, let me vent for a little bit, y'all, because that frustrates me. This book is so good. The characters are memorable. You're not going to forget Gloria, Bernadine, Savannah, and Robin. You can't. The sequel, it's like 20 something years later. The title is called Getting to Happy. None of them women get to happy. You would say a little bit with Robin. But you know what? Y'all know when she wrote that book, she was in the middle of her little scandal, her little divorce. Y'all remember her husband that she got in Jamaica that was what, 20 something years younger than her. She learned that he was. All the men in Getting to Happy were trash, except Gloria's situation, which, oh my gosh, if you read that, oh Lord, her love interest was top tier and she tore that up. Girl, if y'all want to see what I'm talking about, and if y'all haven't read the book, and if y'all not planning to read the book, I would say go and watch my Getting to Happy vlog. I'll put it down below. Again, if there are spoilers, y'all will just see when I read them passages and when I talk about it, how much she just messed up that book. Don't read that. Read this. If you haven't read anything by Terry McMillan, I would say the two that I would read is, of course, Waiting to Excel, and then I would read her debut novel, Mama. This is semi-autobiographical. I have a woman named Mildred. She has like 6 kids. She be trying to find a man. It don't work out. And her kids are they like too grown for their own good. And you just see her try to make it. You know what I mean? And then you have the oldest daughter, Frida. She wants to be a writer. And she goes to California, and you just see everything that goes on. Y'all, it is so good. And again, like I said, it's semi-autobiographical. It is set in Port Huron, Michigan. That's where Terry is from. And it will just you will be laughing when you read this book. I really enjoyed this thoroughly, okay? And it's not a long book at all. But yeah, this and Waiting to Excel is probably my favorites of hers. Don't read Getting to Happy. So yeah, guys, that is it when it comes to this video. Again, I just wanted to give you guys these 10 authors. They are personally my favorite. I just love each one of these authors so much. So yeah, guys, that's all I have for you, and I'll be back with more Black books. Bye.